My friend, let's pause right here, right now, and get real soul to soul, heart to heart. Life's been testing you, hasn't it? Maybe it's the weight of bills piling up like a mountain you can't climb, or the quiet ache of dreams you've buried deep because the world told you they were too big, too wild, too impossible. Maybe it's those sleepless nights when the world's asleep, but you're wide awake, staring into the darkness, haunted by dreams so vivid, so real, like feel like memories from a life you didn't live. What's your name, my friend? Where are you at this very moment? Are you sitting in a quiet room, scrolling through your phone, feeling a tug in your soul like there's a purpose calling you, a destiny just out of reach? What's breaking your heart today? Is it a job that's draining your spirit, a relationship that's tearing you apart? Or a question you can't shake? Why do I keep facing the same battles no matter how hard I fight? God's looking at you, his voice cutting through the chaos like a beacon. I know every step your soul has taken, every life it's lived. I've seen your triumphs, your pain, your longing, and I'm guiding you to the purpose I wrote for you before time began. Psalm chapter 139, verse 16 proclaims that every day of your life was written in God's book. Before you took your first breath, a sacred promise, a divine blueprint woven through the ages, connecting every life your soul has lived to the destiny he's calling you to now. I'm Denzel Washington, and I'm here to tell you that the last digit of your birth year isn't just a number, it's a holy key, a God-ordained clue to unlocking the mysteries of your past lives. It reveals who you were, what you've carried into this moment, and how God's beckoning you to rise up and claim the life he designed for you. Stay with me, because this journey into your soul's eternal story could transform everything you believe about who you are, who you've always been, and who God's destined you to become. Did you know that the final number of the year you were born holds the power to unveil profound, sacred truths about the lives your soul has lived before? In the ancient, time-honored wisdom of Buddhist teachings, there's a belief so powerful it can shift your entire perspective, like a window opening to a world you never knew existed. That single digit carries echoes of your past memories of joy and sorrow, talents forged in the fires of ancient struggles, challenges that shaped your soul, and lessons that linger like a divine whisper across lifetimes. You might be carrying the wisdom of a sage who sat in silent contemplation under starlit skies, the courage of a warrior who stood firm against impossible odds, or the searching heart of a wanderer still seeking purpose across the ages. Imagine the power of understanding why you make the choices you do, why certain emotions grip you like they've been with you forever, knowing they're rooted in lives you never knew you lived. Why do you feel an unshakable pull to certain places, as if your soul remembers a home you've never seen in this lifetime? Why do those dreams feel so real, so vivid, like they're trying to tell you something your heart already knows? What's stirring in your soul right now, my friend? What's that one place, that one moment that feels like it's calling you home? These aren't mere coincidences. They're God's voice speaking through the ages, saying, this is your soul's story, calling you to awaken, to step into my plan. Stay with us as we unravel these divine mysteries and reveal how the last digit of your birth year can transform your perspective on who you are, who you've always been, and who God's shaping you to be in his eternal glorious plan. Get ready, because what we're about to uncover could change how you see yourself forever, could shake the very foundation of your life and rebuild it on God's truth. We're diving deep into the sacred secrets of numbers and spiritual teachings, peeling back the layers of your soul to reveal truths that might challenge everything you thought you knew. What if these insights unlock the reasons behind your deepest struggles, giving you the strength to break free with God's guidance? Could that final digit be the missing piece to the puzzle of your divine purpose, the key to understanding why you're here right now in this moment? If you're ready to explore the depths of your being, to discover how your past lives are shaping your journey today, declare it in your heart. Let God hear your resolve. Let him know you're ready to answer his call. This isn't just about curiosity, it's about stepping boldly into the life God designed for you, reclaiming the power He placed in your soul across lifetimes, and walking the path He's laid before you with faith, courage, and purpose. Let's journey together into the sacred history of your soul, uncover the divine path He set for you, and claim the destiny you were born to fulfill in His name. Let's start by exploring the profound truth that the belief in past lives is a cornerstone of many spiritual traditions, especially in Buddhism. And it's a truth that resonates with the divine plan God has for you, a plan that stretches across eternity. Your soul isn't a fleeting visitor to this world, here for a single moment and gone. It's a sacred pilgrim, a traveler moving through countless cycles of birth and rebirth, gathering experiences, lessons, and karma that shape the person you are today, the person God's molding for His purpose. Those quirks you can't explain may be a love for music you've never studied, a fear of heights that grips you without reason, or a knack for solving problems no one else can. Those aren't random. They might be echoes of lives long past, divine whispers from your soul's journey across time, calling you to remember who you've been. Picture this. What if you could finally understand why certain situations repeat like a song stuck on loop, why some feelings linger like shadows you can't outrun, why the same battles, whether it's loneliness, rejection, or failure, keep circling back, no matter how hard you fight to move forward. Why do you keep facing that one challenge, my friend? What's that one moment in your life that feels like it's happened before, like déjà vu that shakes you to your core? By seeing these patterns through the lens of God's eternal wisdom, you can start to rewrite your story, clearing the way for a purpose that burns bright, a mission that sets your soul ablaze with His divine fire, and a life that glorifies His name. God's voice is unwavering, steady as a rock. I've been with you through every life, every joy, every pain, every victory, every fall. And I'm leading you now to your divine calling. This is where Buddhist numerology becomes a sacred, God-guided tool for self-discovery, a divine lens to see your soul's journey with crystal clarity. Unlike other forms of numerology that focus on personality traits or traits future events, this wisdom dives deep into the karmic threads of your past lives, revealing the spiritual lessons you've carried into this moment, the lessons God's placed in your path to shape you. By looking at the last digit of your birth year, you can unlock hidden truths about who you were, your triumphs that lifted nations, your struggles that forged your soul, your divine purpose that still echoes, and what your soul still needs to learn in this life to fulfill God's plan. This isn't just knowledge, it's a holy revelation, a gift from God that can change everything, showing you what's holding you back, what old wounds need His healing touch, and what He's calling you to release to live a life overflowing with purpose, clarity, and spiritual power. When you understand the meaning of your birth year, you'll start to see patterns that were once invisible, divine clues woven to the tapestry of your life, like threads in a sacred quilt crafted by God's hand. Why do certain situations keep finding you like they're drawn by some unseen force? Why do you attract the same kinds of people, friends who lift you, lovers who challenge you, adversaries who test you or face the same struggles, no matter how hard you try to break free? What's that one relationship, that one obstacle that keeps resurfacing in your life, my friend? These aren't accidents, they're divine answers waiting to be uncovered in the sacred wisdom of Buddhist numerology, guided by God's eternal hand, pointing you toward His purpose. If you feel a fire in your soul, a deep, unshakable sense that you're destined for something greater but can't quite name it, these revelations are the divine step God's placed before you to align your life with your true purpose and spiritual mission. What's pulling at your heart right now? What's that dream you've been afraid to chase, that calling you've pushed aside because life got too loud, too heavy? Get ready to dive into the depths of your being to discover how the choices your soul made in past lives are shaping your journey today, how they're guiding you toward God's plan. We're about to reveal what the last digit of your birth year says about you, and how this sacred, God-given knowledge can be the key to transforming your life, healing old wounds, breaking free from cycles that bind you, and walking the path He's destined for you with unwavering faith and courage. Now let's dive into the heart of this divine wisdom, exploring what each number reveals about your soul's journey. Each number from 0 to 9 carries a unique spiritual and karmic weight, like a divine fingerprint etched on your soul, explaining the intricacies of your personality, the trials you face, the opportunities God's laid out for you, and the purpose He's calling you to fulfill. Imagine holding a sacred key, one that unlocks the mysteries of why you walk through life the way you do, revealing the divine path your soul has been traveling across lifetimes, guided by His eternal wisdom. This isn't just about understanding, it's about transformation, about stepping into God's plan with boldness and faith. If the last digit of your birth year is 0, you're connected to a profound, God-ordained calling to touch the eternal. In Buddhist numerology, 0 is a holy number, symbolizing the void, the divine space where all creation begins, where God's breath first sparked life, and the eternal cycle of rebirth that mirrors His infinite nature. In past lives, you might have been a spiritual guardian watching over sacred spaces, a sage sitting in silent contemplation under starlit skies, or a mystic deeply tied to the endless flow of existence, seeking truths that transcend the physical world, truths that only God could reveal. Your soul's mission was to explore the unknown, to rise above the ego's limits, to touch the divine essence of God's creation, to walk in His light across lifetimes. Psalm chapter 90 verse 2 affirms that God is from everlasting to everlasting, mirroring the eternal journey of your soul, forever tethered to His divine presence, forever seeking His truth. In this life, that legacy manifests as a relentless, God-driven search for spiritual answers and a deeper purpose that transcends the ordinary, a purpose that calls you to something greater than yourself. You're not here for fleeting pleasures or shallow pursuits. Your soul craves something eternal, something divine, something that connects you to God's infinite plan. Because of your profound connection to His wisdom, you might feel like an outsider in the material world, detached from society's endless chase for wealth, status, or approval. That sense of isolation you carry, that feeling of not quite belonging, it's a sacred echo of lives spent in spiritual retreat, perhaps in monasteries hidden in misty mountains, quiet forests where you communed with God, or sacred caves where you sought His transcendent wisdom. God's whispering to your heart, His voice soft but unyielding. I've placed this longing in you to find balance between heaven and earth, to bring my light to a world that's lost its way. Your challenge is to weave your inner spiritual world with the practical demands of daily life, to ground your divine vision in a way that serves both you and those around you, to live out God's purpose in the here and now. The quest for purpose burns deep within you like a fire that can't be quenched, and you might feel like you're always chasing something greater, something no amount of money, fame, or worldly success can ever define. The number 0 also signifies the eternal cycle of rebirth and renewal, meaning your soul is always restarting, always seeking new experiences to evolve and grow closer to God's truth. This journey is both a divine gift and a sacred challenge, a dance with the infinite. On one hand, you're free from a rigid path, blessed with the freedom to explore endless possibilities, to roam God's vast creation with a heart open to His wonders. On the other, there's a constant uncertainty, a struggle to find a steady direction in a world that demands clarity, structure, and answers. Life might feel like a series of divine beginnings and endings, new chapters, new lessons, new callings, each one a sacred opportunity for spiritual growth, a chance to draw closer to God's plan. What's that one moment in your life where everything shifted, my friend? That time you started over, felt a spark of something new, something divine. That was God moving in you, calling you to rise, to renew, to step into His purpose. Your mission in this life is to use your God-given wisdom to guide others toward balance and purpose, to be a beacon for those lost in their own journeys, shining His light into their darkness, showing them the way to His peace. You have the power to lead them to self-knowledge and enlightenment, to help them see God's truth in their own lives. By embracing this calling, you can transform that sense of emptiness into a wellspring of spiritual power, letting your soul feel whole and fulfilled in His presence. Take a moment and reflect. When have you felt most connected to something bigger than yourself? Maybe it was a quiet moment of prayer, a walk in nature where God's presence felt so close, or a time you helped someone find their way. That's your zero energy at work, your soul's eternal connection to God's infinite plan. To live this out, start small. Set aside time each day to pray, to meditate, to listen for God's voice. Journal your thoughts, your dreams, those moments when you feel His presence. Seek out spiritual communities where you can share your wisdom, where you can guide others without losing yourself. Stand tall and declare it with faith. I am ready to use my connection to infinity to help others find peace and purpose in their lives, guided by God's eternal strength. If your birth year ends in 1, you carry a powerful divine connection to leadership, a sacred anointing to guide others through God's strength. The number 1 is all about initiative, courage, and the God-given ability to lead others through the storms of life with unwavering resolve, to stand firm in His truth. You might have been a ruler commanding respect in ancient halls, your voice echoing with authority, a commander leading armies through chaos with a steady hand, or an authority figure whose swift, impactful decisions shaped destinies and altered the course of history. That legacy lives on in your current life as a fierce, God-fueled determination and a burning desire to take charge, to stand at the forefront of change, to lead others to light. You've got a natural knack for leading groups, inspiring those around you with your vision and stepping boldly into challenging situations with faith in His guidance. Your leadership karma is a sacred gift, a divine mantle placed upon you. But it comes with a holy responsibility to lead with wisdom, compassion, and a heart aligned with God's will. Proverbs chapter 29 verse 2 states that when the righteous lead, the people rejoice, calling you to lead with God's heart and purpose, uplifting those entrusted to you, guiding them to His truth. But this leadership energy carries deep karmic challenges, lessons etched into your soul from past lives that call for redemption and growth. Your hunger for power might have led to choices that hurt those you were meant to guide, perhaps decisions driven by pride or ambition that left a mark on your soul. Now you might face moments where success slips through your fingers, no matter how hard you fight, like sand falling through your hands despite your grip. These are God's gentle but firm reminders. True power comes from humility and serving others in my name. What's your name, my friend? Ever feel like you're battling to prove your worth, pouring your heart into a goal, maybe a career, a project, a dream, only to hit a wall that stops you cold? That's God teaching you, shaping you, refining you for His purpose. You're a visionary, an innovator, your mind sparking with new ideas and strategies like a divine fire that could light up the world. But God's voice is clear, steady. And true leadership isn't just about conquering, it's about inspiring, uplifting, and walking in my truth. You might be tempted to go it alone, to cling rigidly to your own vision, believing no one else can match your drive or see what you see. But your challenge is to listen, to collaborate, to value the contributions of those around you, trusting that God's placed them in your path for a divine purpose to help you fulfill His plan. Your purpose in this life is to lead with a compassionate heart and an open mind, guided by God's grace and wisdom, to be a leader who not only achieves but inspires, who not only builds but uplifts. This isn't about personal glory, it's about building a legacy that glorifies Him, that lifts others up and points them to His light. Imagine the impact you could have: a leader who inspires not just with strength but with love, not just with vision but with faith, a leader who changes lives because they lead with God's heart. To live this out, start by seeking God's guidance in your decisions. Pray before you act. Ask for His wisdom. Surround yourself with people who challenge and support you, who share your vision but bring their own gifts. Reflect on a time you led with compassion. Maybe it was a moment at work, with family, or in your community. How did it feel to lift others up? Build on that and let God's love guide your leadership. Strengthen your resolve by declaring, I lead with integrity and guide others with wisdom and compassion, trusting God's divine plan to light my path. If the last digit of your birth year is 2, your soul carries the divine calling of a peacemaker, anointed by God to bring harmony to a broken world. The number 2 radiates balance, cooperation, and a divine call to unity that reflects God's heart for his people. In your previous lives, you might have been the one who resolved conflicts between warring tribes. Your words, soothing like a balm, fostered peace in divided communities, building bridges where walls once stood, or connected people across vast divides, weaving them together with God's love. That gift shines in your current life as a natural ability to see both sides of any situation, to calm storms with a gentle word, to bring peace to those around you like a reflection of God's grace. Your soul yearns for a world where everyone lives in harmony, and you're driven by a divine urge to help others find that peace, to show them God's love through your actions, to be a living testament to his compassion. John chapter 16, verse 33 proclaims that in Christ you have peace despite the world's troubles, echoing your God-given calling to be a beacon of calm in a chaotic world, a vessel of his serenity. But this peacemaking nature comes with sacred challenges, lessons carved into your soul from past lives that call for growth and balance. You might have sacrificed your own needs to keep the peace, giving so much of yourself, your time, your energy, your heart that you were left empty, a pattern that lingers in your soul like a quiet ache. God speaking to you now, his voice gentle but firm. Your heart is vast, but your needs are part of my plan too. You might shy away from conflict, avoiding confrontation to keep things smooth, but that avoidance can leave you feeling unheard, unseen, your truth buried beneath the weight of others' needs. What's holding you back from speaking your truth, my friend? What's that one moment where you stayed silent when your heart was screaming to be heard? Your spiritual growth depends on finding the courage to speak your truth with kindness and firmness, trusting God to guide your words and give you strength. Your mission is to show the world how compassion and strength can coexist, to be a living testament to God's balance, loving others fiercely while honoring the divine spark within you, the spark he placed there. To live this out, practice setting boundaries, small steps, like saying no to demands that drain you, or speaking up in a conversation where you'd usually stay quiet. Reflect on a time you brought peace to someone, a friend, a family member, a stranger. How did it feel to be God's vessel of calm? Build on that, but also nurture yourself through prayer, rest, or time alone with God. By embracing your voice and setting clear boundaries, you'll not only find peace within yourself, but also become a vessel for God's harmony, bringing it to those around you in a way that glorifies him. Imagine a life where your compassion heals hearts, where your presence calms storms, all while you stand firm in your own truth, grounded in God's love. Inspire yourself and others by affirming with faith, I create peace and balance while honoring my own needs and truths, guided by God's eternal wisdom. If your birth year ends in 3, your soul is tied to a deep, divine connection with communication, expression, a sacred gift to share God's truth. The number 3 is tied to creativity, the art of speaking and connecting deeply through words, art, or music, God's gift to touch hearts and souls across time, to proclaim his message. You might have been a poet weaving verses that stirred the soul, an artist painting divine truths on ancient canvases, or a speaker whose words inspired crowds to seek God's light, to rise above their struggles. That legacy shines in your current life as a natural gift for communication, a flair for writing, or a passion for artistic expression that stirs the hearts of those around you, that points them to God's beauty. Your soul craves to express itself freely, to pour out his truth, to uplift others with your God-given voice, to be a vessel for his inspiration. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 7 mentions there's a time to speak, urging you to use your voice boldly in his name, to proclaim his message to a world in need. But this creative energy carries karmic lessons, challenges etched into your soul from past lives that call for healing and growth. Your voice might have been silenced, perhaps by oppression, censorship, or misunderstanding, or you might have misused your gift, speaking words that caused harm rather than healing, leaving a mark on your soul. Now you might face challenges with self-censorship, a fear of judgment that keeps your true voice locked away, or a need for constant validation from others to feel your words matter. God's calling you, his voice clear and strong. Speak my truth fearlessly, your words are my gift to the world. You're an optimist, a motivator, your presence lighting up rooms like a beacon, but sometimes you hide your true feelings, your vulnerabilities, to keep up a positive front, fearing what others might think if you show your true self. What's that one story you've been afraid to share, my friend? That moment you held back because you feared judgment or rejection. This life is your divine opportunity to embrace authenticity, to share your truth even if it invites criticism, knowing God's strength is your shield, His love your foundation. Your purpose is to express yourself honestly and inspire others to do the same, to be a vessel for God's healing through your words, your art, your presence to point others to His light. By sharing your truth openly, you can heal not only yourself, but also those who hear a message, helping them find their own voice in God's name. Imagine the lives you could touch, the hearts you could mend. By speaking with courage and authenticity, by letting God's truth flow through you like a river of light. To live this out, start small, write a journal entry, share a story with a friend. Create something that reflects your soul. Pray for courage. Ask God to guide your words. Reflect on a time your words inspired someone, maybe a conversation, a letter, a moment of encouragement. Build on that and let God's love amplify your voice. Declare it with unwavering faith. I express myself with authenticity and use my voice to inspire and transform with God's unwavering strength. If the last digit of your birth year is 4, your soul is deeply connected to building, protecting, and organizing, chosen by God to create lasting foundations. The number 4 stands for stability, hard work, and structured divine principles that mirror God's design for creation. You might have been an architect crafting temples that reach for the heavens, a strategist defending communities from chaos, or a leader building legacies that endured for generations, legacies that glorified God. Now you feel a sacred need for security and order, driven to build a life that stands strong, a testament to His strength. Your soul's determined to leave a legacy that glorifies Him, a foundation that others can build upon, a life that reflects His eternal stability. Isaiah chapter 28 verse 16 confirms that God lays a sure foundation, mirroring your divine drive to create something enduring, something holy. But this desire for control often stems from past lives of chaos, destruction, or loss, leaving a mark on your soul that makes you resistant to change or overly controlling, as if you must hold everything together to keep it safe. God's voice is gentle but firm. Trust my plan, let go of the need to control every step. For I am your foundation. You're practical, always ready to solve problems, the one others turn to in a crisis, whether it's fixing a family dispute, organizing a project, or holding a team together. But that sense of duty can feel like a heavy cross, a burden that weighs on your soul, leaving you exhausted. What's that one responsibility you've carried for too long, my friend? That moment you felt the world on your shoulders, like it would all fall apart without you. Your challenge is to delegate, to trust others, to balance purpose with flexibility, knowing God's guiding the outcome with His perfect plan. Your mission is to build with intention but embrace His divine flow, creating a life that's both strong and open to His surprises, a life that reflects His glory. To live this out, start by trusting God's timing, pray before big decisions, ask for His guidance, delegate tasks to others, even if it feels uncomfortable, and trust that God's working through them too. Reflect on a time you built something lasting, a home, a project, a relationship. How did it feel to create something solid? Build on that, but allow room for God's surprises. Imagine a life where your hard work creates not just stability, but also freedom, where your foundations support others while allowing you to grow in God's grace. Strengthen your intention by affirming, I build with confidence and accept the flow of life as part of my spiritual growth, guided by God's eternal plan. If your birth year ends in 5, you are likely an explorer, adventurer, or freedom seeker, blessed by God with a restless spirit. The number 5 is about change, freedom, and a soul that longs to roam under God's vast sky to explore His creation. You might have been a traveler crossing uncharted lands, a pioneer breaking new ground, or a nomad chasing knowledge across deserts and mountains, seeking God's truth in every corner of the world. Now you crave variety and despise routine, always seeking the next adventure that expands your horizons, that brings you closer to His infinite possibilities. Galatians chapter 5 verse 1 declares that Christ has set you free. resonating with your soul's divine hunger for liberation, for a life unbound by the world's chains. But this quest for freedom might come from past lives of restriction, perhaps physical imprisonment, emotional chains, or societal constraints making you fear commitment or stability as if they might trap you again. God's whispering, his voice steady and true. True freedom is found in me, within your heart, no matter where you stand. Your magnetic personality draws others in. Your passion for life contagious, inspiring people to step out of their comfort zones and embrace God's possibilities, to live boldly in his name. But your craving for novelty can lead to dispersion, a struggle to commit to one path or purpose, leaving you restless and unmoored. What's that one dream you've chased but never held on to, my friend? That one moment you ran from stability because it felt like a cage. Your challenge is to find focus without losing your adventurous spirit, to balance freedom with stability, to trust that God's plan includes both exploration and purpose, both movement and rest. Your mission is to be a beacon of authenticity, showing others how to live boldly in God's truth while finding peace within, a peace that only he can give. To live this out, embrace small commitments, maybe a project, a relationship, a spiritual practice, and see them as part of God's adventure for you. Pray for focus. Ask God to guide your steps. Reflect on a time you felt truly free, what sparked that feeling. Build on it, but anchor it in his truth. Imagine a life where your freedom inspires others, where your adventures glorify God. Declare it. I am free in my mind and heart, finding balance and purpose in all my journeys with God's divine guidance. If the last digit is 6, your soul was likely a healer, provider, or guardian anointed by God to nurture and protect. The number 6 is tied to care, love, and family responsibility, divine qualities that reflect God's heart for his people. You might have been a parental figure sheltering the vulnerable, a community healer mending broken hearts with God's compassion, or a trusted advisor guiding others to safety through his wisdom. Now you strive to create a safe, loving environment, a sanctuary where God's love shines through you, where others can find refuge. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 4 states that love is patient and kind, mirroring your nurturing spirit, your divine calling to care for his creation. But your tendency to prioritize others might have left you burned out in past lives, giving so much that you neglected your own soul. A pattern that lingers like a quiet wound. God's saying, his voice full of love, care for yourself as you care for others, both are my will. You're a natural healer. Your empathy and compassion making you a rock for friends, family, and community, a reflection of God's steadfast love. But you might carry others' burdens, draining your soul until you're empty, until you feel like you've given all you have. What's that one time you gave too much, my friend, and felt depleted, like your light was flickering? Your challenge is to set boundaries, balancing giving and receiving, trusting God to sustain you with his strength, to fill you with his love. Your mission is to heal others while nurturing yourself, spreading his love in a way that keeps your soul full, that keeps your light burning bright. To live this out, practice self-care, set aside time for prayer, rest, or activities that restore you. Say no to demands that drain you, trusting God's provision. Reflect on a time you helped someone heal. How did it feel to be God's vessel? Build on that, but protect your energy. Imagine a life where your compassion heals countless hearts, where your love reflects God's, but you stand strong, replenished by his grace. Affirm it. I care for others with love and balance, and I nurture myself with the same dedication, trusting God's plan. If your birth year ends in 7, your soul is connected to healing and wisdom, chosen by God to guide quietly. The number 7 is about introspection, inner wisdom, and understanding the soul's depths, a divine call to seek God's mysteries, to know his heart. You might have been a solitary healer tending to the broken, a spiritual mentor offering wisdom in whispers, or a saging answers in silence, in communion with God. Now you crave to help and heal, but might lean toward isolation, drawn to personal reflection over connection, seeking God's truth in solitude. Psalm chapter 46 verse 10 urges you to be still and know God, aligning with your reflective nature. your soul's quiet communion with Him. Your past lives of seclusion might make you feel like you don't fully belong, like a stranger in a crowded world, your heart yearning for connection but fearing exposure. God's calling you, His voice steady and loving. Open your heart, your wisdom is meant to be shared in my name. Your empathy lets you see beyond appearances, feeling others' pain as if it were your own, but this sensitivity can lead you to distance yourself to protect your energy, to shield your soul. What's that one moment you pulled back from connection, my friend, to guard your heart from being overwhelmed? Your mission is to guide and inspire while receiving love in return, building connections that reflect God's love, that show His truth to the world. By finding balance between giving and receiving, you'll create a legacy that breaks the chains of isolation and shines His light, a legacy that glorifies Him. To live this out, share your wisdom in small ways, maybe a conversation, a kind word, a moment of guidance. Pray for courage to connect. Ask God to open your heart. Reflect on a time you helped someone see their truth. How did it feel to be God's guide? Build on that, but let others support you too. Imagine a life where your wisdom lights the way for others, where your connections reflect God's love. Declare it. I offer my wisdom to heal and guide while opening myself to receive love and support with God's strength. If the last digit is 8, you're tied to ambition and power, blessed by God to manifest abundance. The number 8 is linked to success, leadership, and the ability to create wealth and impact, to multiply God's gifts. You might have been a business leader building empires that shaped economies, a ruler commanding nations with vision, or a figure of influence whose decisions changed societies. Now you're drawn to big goals, financial security, and recognition, carrying the divine spark to achieve greatness, to reflect God's abundance. Matthew chapter 25, verse 21 praises the faithful servant who multiplies their talents, echoing your drive to build something extraordinary, to glorify Him. But past misuse of power might bring struggles now, with cycles of gain and loss that test your soul, that call you to align with God's purpose. God's saying, His voice clear and strong, use your gifts for my glory and the good of all. Your determination is unmatched, your presence commanding, but this pursuit can lead to burnout, sacrificing personal life for ambition, leaving you empty. What's that one goal you've chased at the cost of your peace, my friend? That moment you pushed too hard and lost sight of what matters. Your challenge is to balance ambition with ethics, using success to uplift others, trusting God's plan to guide you. Your mission is to lead consciously, creating a legacy that glorifies Him, that blesses the world with His abundance. To live this out, align your goals with God's purpose, pray before big moves, ask for His guidance. Use your success to help others, maybe mentor someone, share your resources, or support a cause. Reflect on a time you achieved something great. How did it feel to succeed? Build on that. But let God's love guide your ambition. Imagine a life where your success lifts others, where your legacy shines with His light. Affirm it. I use my strength and power to manifest abundance for the greater good of all, guided by God's plan. If your birth year ends in 9, your soul is tied to humanitarian service and compassion, anointed by God to serve. The number 9 is about unconditional love, spiritual wisdom, and the desire to uplift humanity, to reflect God's compassion. You might have been a healer mending broken souls, a teacher sharing divine truths, or a revolutionary fighting for justice, for God's righteousness. Now you feel called to serve, to heal the world with His compassion, to make a difference in lives around you. Luke chapter 6, verse 38 promises that giving generously brings blessings, reflecting your heart's divine calling to give, to love, to serve. But your past sacrifices might make you give too much, leaving you drained. A pattern of martyrdom lingering in your soul like a heavy cloak. God's whispering, His voice full of love, love yourself as you love others, it's my command. Your Corinne aspires, connecting with people on a deep level, but you might absorb their pain, carrying it as your own, weighing down your soul. What's that one time you took on someone else's burden, my friend, and felt it crush you? Your challenge is to set boundaries, balancing service with self-care, trusting God to sustain you with His strength. Your mission is to lead and heal with wisdom, spreading His love in a way that keeps your soul full, that keeps your light shining. To live this out, practice self-care, set boundaries, prioritize time with God, nurture your soul. Share your compassion in small ways, maybe a kind word, a helping hand, a moment of support. Reflect on a time you made a difference. How did it feel to be God's vessel? Build on that, but protect your energy. Imagine a life where your compassion transforms lives, where your love reflects God's, but you stand strong, sustained by His grace. Declare it. I serve others with love and wisdom while honoring and taking care of myself with God's guidance. Now that you understand the divine wisdom of your birth year's last digit, let's explore how to apply this knowledge to transform your life. Understanding your number is the first step to reshaping your journey, bringing crystal clear clarity to your challenges, opportunities, and God-given purpose. The secret is applying this knowledge daily, seeing how these karmic patterns can be molded to create a life aligned with your soul's deepest desires and God's eternal will, a life that shines with His glory. If your number points to leadership or power, like 1 or 8, your journey is about taking charge with confidence and purpose, trusting God's strength to guide you. Maybe you've struggled to assert yourself, hesitated on big decisions, or felt the weight of doubt pressing down. God saying, His voice steady and sure, I've equipped you to lead with my wisdom. Step forward in faith. Recognize your leadership energy. See yourself as a guide for others, and take bold steps, trusting your past life wisdom and His light to overcome fears. Imagine leading a team, a family, a community with a heart full of faith, inspiring them to rise in God's name, to walk in His truth. Start by praying for guidance, seeking God's will in your decisions. Mentor someone, share your vision, and trust that God's working through you. If your number ties to healing or peacemaking, like 2, 6, or 9, your path is about helping others while caring for yourself, reflecting God's love in every action. You've got a divine gift for guiding, for healing. But God's reminding you to set boundaries, to avoid burnout, to keep your soul full of His light. Develop self-care habits, prayer, rest, time in His presence, balancing empathy with strength, and offer support in a way that nurtures you too, trusting His provision. Picture yourself as a healer whose compassion touches lives, but whose strength stands firm in God's grace. Start small, maybe a daily prayer, a moment of gratitude, or a kind act that lifts someone up. Reflect on a time you brought peace or healing. How did it feel to be God's vessel? For numbers like 4 or 7, tied to stability or solitude, your challenge is to turn obstacles into strengths with God's guidance. If you feel isolated, He's calling you to share your wisdom, to connect with others in His name. Step out of your comfort zone, trust those around you, and see every hurdle as a divine opportunity to grow in His grace. Imagine a life where your stability becomes a foundation for others, where your solitude transforms into a beacon of God's wisdom. Join a community, share your gifts, and let God's love flow through you. No matter your number, you hold the power to shape your destiny with God's help. Each number brings challenges and gifts, and your mission is to align your life with these truths, turning lessons into victories that glorify Him. Declare it with faith. I use the knowledge of my past lives to guide my current journey with wisdom and purpose, trusting God's eternal plan. You're not just understanding your soul, you're rewriting your story with divine intention, faith, and love, creating a life that reflects His glory. With this wisdom in hand, let's talk about crafting a new path, one that aligns with God's purpose for you. Knowing what your birth year's last digit reveals is just the beginning of a sacred, God-guided journey of self-discovery and transformation, a journey that leads you closer to His heart. With this wisdom, you can rewrite your life's script, creating a path aligned with God's purpose for you, a path that honors who you were, who you are, and who He's calling you to become. The power's in your hands to build a story guided by wisdom, balance, and unwavering faith. A story that shines with His glory, that echoes through eternity. Imagine living a life where every action aligns with your divine purpose, where every choice moves you closer to the destiny your soul craves in God's name, a destiny written in His book before time began. This path begins by aligning your mind, body, and spirit with the truths of your number, by listening to God's voice in your heart. Ask yourself, what matters most to me in this life? What's God calling me to do with the gifts He's given me? Make decisions that reflect your true self, guided by His light. And let every step honor His plan. Whether it's choosing a career that fulfills your soul, building relationships that uplift, pursuing a passion that sets your heart on fire, or serving others in His name, let God's truth guide you. This journey also means surrounding yourself with people, places, and experiences that fuel your spiritual growth in God's presence, that draw you closer to art. Your number shows you what energy to seek, whether it's healing communities for 6 or 9, where you can share God's love, or inspiring mentors for 1 or 8, who challenge you to rise in His name. What's stirring in your soul right now, my friend? What's that one thing holding you back from stepping fully into God's plan? A fear, a doubt, a past hurt? Cultivate an environment that lifts you toward who He's destined you to be, a reflection of His love, strength, and purpose. Seek out prayer groups, spiritual mentors, creative spaces, or quiet moments with God where your soul can thrive, where His presence is felt in every breath. Embrace the unknown and be open to transformation, for God's plan is dynamic, alive, and ever-evolving, like a river flowing toward His eternal sea. What you learn today might shift tomorrow as you grow closer to His truth, as He reveals new layers of your soul's purpose, new chapters of His plan. Stay flexible, knowing transformation is growth in His grace, a divine unfolding of your destiny. Every step toward your deepest truth is a step toward a brighter, God-guided future, a life that radiates His glory, that shines His light into the world. Creating this path takes courage and self-love, a commitment to living authentically in God's name, not just meeting the world's expectations or chasing its fleeting rewards. Decide today to live with purpose, letting every choice reflect your soul's truth and His divine will. Affirm it with unwavering faith. I create my path with intention and truth, guided by the knowledge of my soul and God's eternal love. This is the foundation for a journey that honors your past, illuminates your present, and lights up your future in His divine, radiant light. As we close this sacred, soul-stirring journey, know that this is just the beginning of your walk with God. You've learned to interpret the spiritual meaning of your number, seeing the karmic patterns and challenges shaping your life, all woven into God's divine tapestry, all part of His perfect plan. But more than that, you've been given a holy opportunity to shape your future with purpose, aligned with His eternal will, to become the person He's always destined you to be, a reflection of His love, His strength, His glory. Now's the time to reflect deeply on these revelations and choose your next steps in faith, to listen for God's voice and follow where He leads. Which lessons hit your soul hardest? Was it the challenges God's calling you to overcome? The wounds He's urging you to heal? The gifts He's placed in you to share with the world? Or the purpose He's calling you to embrace? What's that one truth that's burning in your heart right now, my friend? What's that one step you know you need to take to align with His plan? Every insight is a piece of your soul's divine puzzle, a sacred clue to unlocking your highest potential in His name. Use this wisdom to set clear intentions for growth, to pray boldly, to act courageously, to live faithfully, trusting God's guidance every step of the way. Your journey of self-discovery is a living, breathing path, ever evolving in God's radiant light. A path that leads you closer to His heart with every step. Keep seeking, keep exploring through prayer, meditation, scripture, or connecting with communities that feed your soul, that remind you of His presence. This is just the start of uncovering who you are and who God's destined you to become, a vessel of His love, a beacon of His light, a servant of His purpose. Drop amen in the comments below. Declare His truth over your life. Claim His victory for your journey. Let the world know you're walking in His plan. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's searching for their purpose just like you. Someone who needs God's light in their darkness. Hit that like button, subscribe, and join our community of souls seeking God's purpose, lifting each other up in His love, praying for one another, supporting one another. Let's keep exploring the wonders of our divine paths together, holding each other accountable, celebrating each other's victories, and shining His light brighter every day. Stay blessed, keep rising, keep praying, and walk boldly in the purpose God's given you. Until next time, may His peace guide your every step. May His love fill your heart with courage and hope. and may his truth lead you to the destiny he's prepared for you.